Mick Gray chats with Denise Kaufman from Ace of Cups, September 28th, 2022, Part 2.
Tell us about on Sing Your Dreams. There's a song called Slowest River, made
Right,
for love, and Jackson Brown sings on it.
right.
Huh.
So that's a little medley. Slowest River was Mary started working on Mary Gannon, Mary Allfielder now. She had found on a napkin at the Sleeping Lady in Fairfax, she had found a verse of a poem by the poet Swinburne. And it was a few stanzas from this poem that is called In the Garden of Persephone. And it was this very dark, long poem. But she found these first few lines, or actually that's maybe not the first line of the poem, but this verse. And she took it home and started like playing it and playing on the piano and came up with a melody. And then I like horned in on her and changed the lyric and then wrote the rest of most of the song. And
Wow.
so Mary Gannon and I, yeah. And so, sadly, she was not, when because she lives here in Kauai and we were recording a lot of the time, and we recorded in Mill Valley or San Rafael at Laughing Tiger Studio. And so Mary wasn't there. So she probably would have sung that song, but she wasn't there to do it. And so I did.
Wow.
So then, and Jackson Jackson sang the first verse. And then we morphed that. It's a really short song. And then we morphed it with this song that Mary Gannon also wrote, We Were Made for Love. She used to sing We Are Made for Love, and I forgot, and I sang We Were Made for Love, and I felt really badly afterwards because I didn't really want to change her lyric on that, but it was done, and we'd had all these harmonies on it. So Dan was like, well, we were made for love. Sounds great. Anyway, sometimes you have to like convince somebody that a mistake is a positive thing. So anyway, but we recorded that, and then I wrote the spoken word part to go over that.
This is spirituality, man. This touched me when I heard it, man, and I think you guys will love it. Here, let's listen to Slowest River and Made for Love. Ace of Cups with Jackson.
Can I tell you one more thing?
Oh yes,
just
go ahead.
Listen to it. In the background of Made for Love, the men's voices that are singing background with us are Jackson and David Freiberg from Quicksilver and Jefferson Airplane and Bobby Weir. You might hear their voices.
There's a great Bobby Weir duet on this too. That's just fabulous, man. I tell you. I'm kind of thinking that the Grateful Dead should have had Ace of Cups singing backup on pretty much everything. Maybe would have been even better. I mean, the Dead are great, but man, that you guys' harmonies behind him, man.
I think Bobby sang that so beautifully.
He did. He was,
and he played the guitar solo too.
Was that?
All the guitars are him. Yeah.
That's a beauty. Who wrote that song?
I did.
Gosh, you are a fabulous songwriter too.
Thank you.
On top of everything else. Before that, we heard that great song, Slowest River and Made for Love, man, with Jackson Brown. That's so beautiful. The Well is off of the Ace of Cups record, and then Slowest River is off of Sing Your Dreams. Oh, man. Hey, let's go back and talk about a day. According to a lot of people, kind of the end of the 60s and it was a disaster overall, Altamont. But for you, it was much more of a disaster. Tell us the story.
Yeah, I was with my husband, Noel Jukes, who's a jazz player in the Bay Area. Yeah. And I was 5 months pregnant, and we had decided, well, he of course didn't want to go because but
didn't want everything to do with that.
So he said, okay. And we drove to, it was originally going to be in Golden Gate Park, and then it moved to Altamont. And we got there, we were like, it's the raceway. So like the stages, or the area where the stage was at the bottom, and then there was this like bowl, right? And we were sitting way up in the bowl, like far from the stage, shoulder to shoulder with, 200,000 people.
Yeah.
And it was in the afternoon. It wasn't like, hadn't come to the Stones on or anything like that. But somewhere behind us, there were some of the Hell's Angels were there, and I don't know whether they did this. There's no way to know, but there was a bunch of Hell's Angels kind of in a group up at the top behind us. But somebody lobbed a quart beer bottle high into the air into this crowd. It was like a glass bottle, and I never saw it, but it landed on my head and knocked me out. Not for long. I mean, it hit. I never saw what hit me, but all of a sudden, I'm 5 months pregnant, and all of a sudden, I'm just like everything was black. And so I ended up. Noel walked me down to the behind the stage. I couldn't see; everything was blurry. And he walked me down behind the stage where there was supposed to be some first aid thing, and then somebody put me in a station wagon with a bunch of people that were freaking out on drugs, and drove up to another place there where there was a first aid tent, and there was a doctor there, and he pressed on my skull. And I don't know why he said this, because I still don't know what he could have been thinking of, but he said, "I don't mean to scare you, but was there guns? Did you hear, were there guns where you were?" And I'm like, and then I kind of lost and started crying. And so, gunshot in my head, Yeah. But anyway, he said I had to get to a hospital, and they requisitioned the Rolling Stones helicopter that had brought them there, and the Rolling Stones wouldn't let their helicopter be used to airlift me out. So they called for the ambulance from Livermore, which was the closest ambulance hospital, and they came and got me and took me to Livermore.
Must have took forever to get there. It must have took them forever.
To Livermore, and they did x-rays, and they said, "You have to have neurosurgery. You've got skull in your brain, so we can't do that." So they put me by ambulance to San Francisco, back to Mount Zion, which is of course where I used to live, like back to my old stomping grounds. But when I got there, the doctor, just said, because I had eaten a carrot before, they say, "Well, if you've eaten something, we can't give you a general anesthetic because you could aspirate the contents of your stomach into your lungs. So we're going to give you this IV, sedative, and but we have to tell you it could terminate your pregnancy."
Oh God!
And I'm not going to do it, And then they said, "Well, the only other thing we could just do, like local, like when you go to the dentist, I said, "Fine, we'll do that." So, and they said, "But then you'll be awake for the surgery." I said, "Fine." So they shaved my head and did a bunch of little shots around there, like Novocaine, whatever it was, and then I just talked to them while they took all the pieces of skull out of my.
Oh my God! You were awake.
I was awake. It was like little, the jackhammers when you see on the road, they go brrr, like that, and they're going brrr, like a little teeny mini jackhammer.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel it. I felt it as a experience, but not as pain.
Wow.
But the funny thing was, I was reading at that time, there was a Lama Govinda book called 7 Years in Tibet. I don't know if you've
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Across that tome, but in this book, he had talked about that the Tibetans would drill a little hole right at their third eye to open their consciousness. And so I was like, okay, now that you're drilling in my head, I was wondering.
Could you do one here too?
Do a little bit of a hole right there. And they're like, "No, we're not going to." Please. They wouldn't do it.
Oh my God. You were totally blessed that it wasn't worse. You had a baby 3 months coming and everything was okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It could have been so much worse.
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That was the end of the 60s for you. And for a lot of people after Altamont, man.
Yeah.
What a mess. What a mess. Oh man. I tell you, I wanted to ask you, do you have any plans to put a solo record out? Any solo recordings?
I haven't. I'm sort of trying to figure out what to do next. That's my question right now, because I don't know that Ace of Cups is going to be able to play live anymore for a number of family reasons for different.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question was, is there any live shows?
Diane and Dallas, our keyboard player and drummer, are in Mill Valley, and they've been doing some things with a couple of other people, and they're there. But Mary Ellen is up in Weaverville, Northern California, and her husband has Parkinson's and had some heart disease. He's somewhat older than she is, and I think she's can't leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of other family things for a couple of people. Diane can't really travel. Her partner has been having some
health issues of some time.
Yeah, some health issues. So she can play locally but not travel. So, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm sort of open to some new expression, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, you were saying that you had the opportunity. You might have went and jammed tonight if you weren't here with me.
And I'll do it with them soon, if not.
Yeah. So maybe that could pan out. You don't know.
Right. Yeah, totally.
That's
my grandson, is like having a major career right now himself.
That's what you were saying. Can you tell us about him a little?
Maybe it's just going to be like I'll end up being like his roadie or something, and play a harmonica with him once in a while or something.
What exactly is he doing?
He's living in the UK right now, but he's signed to Polydor in the UK.
Wow.
And so he's touring. He's been touring in Europe, and but he just signed with Geffen in the US. So because Polydor, they're everywhere else, but not in the So he signed with Geffen, and he signed also a big publishing deal in the last couple of weeks. So he's just doing his thing with his band, and his name is Eli Smart.
Smart. I got to check him out, because that's a big deal these days. People don't sign to labels very much anymore. And if he's getting big exposure like that, man, he must be doing some pretty amazing stuff.
He's great. And he's got a really wonderful band. They love playing together. He went to music school at university in Liverpool, England. So he came from Kauai, where he grew up here in Kauai, but he went to the school that Paul McCartney endowed in the building where Paul and George went to school. And they renovated the building, and I mean, it's this amazing performing. It's called LIPA, Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts.
That is the coolest to be able to attend that.
So so he's been on his trajectory for a while. Yeah.
Speaking of school, when you went to Hawaii, you got involved somehow or another. What is that about, where you got involved in forming a school?
Yeah, well, when I moved here, I had come here when I was 16 to learn to surf, and I'd come here on a summer program and fell in love with the island, and literally had to be dragged home by my mother. I was never going to leave. She came over and like dragged me home crying. But so when the Ace of Cups broke up, I came here with my 2-year-old daughter and my friend Merlin, and I thought I was just coming for like a couple of months to camp and just, but as it turned out, I just never wanted to leave. And so by the time in the fall, I rented a house, and Mary Gannon from the Ace of Cups came over with 11 pieces of luggage that she brought because all I came with was my kid in a tent and a dulcimer. So she brought my Gibson and my amps and my sitar and my tambura, carried the sitar wrapped in a blanket on the plane, put it in the overhead, and no extra baggage charge in those days.
Couldn't do that today. Yeah, it would cost you $1 million to bring all that with you.
So she came over on Thanksgiving Day in 1972, and then we started playing as a duo around the island, and then we're in some other bands together here. But by the time my daughter was like 3, and I knew I wanted to stay. I was just checking out the schools and going to visit schools, and I was helping teach. Mary was teaching at the Catholic school, the local Catholic school, St. Catherine, and I was helping with that. But I wasn't happy with any of the schools, and I just okay, if I want to stay on the island, there has to be a better school. So I ended up getting some of my friends together, and we met a couple of other people, and 7 women started this school, Island School, which opened 47 years ago this January. And now, we started with, rented this old building and scrounged, I mean, we just, we had no money. We would like have garage sales, or, we showed The Harder They Come at the local theater and raised, $1,200, and then we could buy the next thing.
Wow.
But eventually we got a nonprofit status, and we wrote up a curriculum. Luckily, some of the people that were part of our group were, teachers by training or a master's in education in one case. So we wrote a curriculum and got licensed, and then we opened the school with 12 students. And now, and in this rented building, and now the school is it moved a little bit of another part of the island, but it's next to the college, to the community college, and it's got a 40-acre campus.
Oh
and
my God.
120 kids with a big waiting list, pre-K through 12. And
Jeez.
it's one of the premier private schools in the island, and with a great scholarship fund and endowment, so we can really have a diverse community of kids.
That's fantastic. Is it like is it parent participation type school?
Well, in terms of, yeah, but not in, I mean.
Because my daughter went to a parent participation school where I was obligated one day a week to be in class with the students and the teacher and things like that. And it was fantastic.
Not like that, but as parents, the parents are really involved. I mean, they have to be, in terms of not being necessarily in the classroom, but we have sports, we have a big gym, we're just building, broke ground for a new science and robotics building.
Man,
a major place,
What a feather in your cap to be able to say that you were there when you helped.
We're the founding mothers of Island School.
God,
yeah,
that is fantastic.
It is great, and I mean, to go there now, there was the groundbreaking for the new building a few months ago, and the seniors did a special. It was an outdoor assembly because of COVID, and the seniors each spoke, and one of them spoke totally only in Hawaiian.
Oh, wow.
There's a really great Hawaiian studies building and program there, and the kids really learn culture of this place. I mean, there's really an amazing school.
It sounds amazing. Gosh, so cool.
Wow.
We should hear a little bit more of your latest records, because there's just so much great stuff on these records. I want to play a little bit more. You want to hang around for a while more? You will?
Hang around. Yeah, it's early here. It's later.
I know. Usually I'm interviewing somebody and they're like, oh, it's like almost 1 a.m, because they're doing East Coast people or something. Oh, this is nice. Okay, we have
Hawaiians.
I know. I got to interview more Hawaiians. It's the way I gotta go. Okay, we're here with Denise of Ace of Cups. She's a fabulous lady. I tell you, I've been enjoying this night so much. Let's hear a little bit more from Sing Your Dreams, KMiC Radio. I don't usually, KMiC Radio is usually about lots of fun, and I always say music heals. That's my catchphrase on KMiC Radio too. But I want to get deep here with you, because I know you have just great energy, and I want your view on the state of the world right now, and I want to know what the hell happened to compassion and caring.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight on that?
I don't know if you happen to have watched the Ken Burns documentary that premiered this last week. It's called The United States.
I heard about it, and I haven't watched it yet.
It was 3 episodes, and it's incredible. I mean, well, Ken Burns is amazing.
Yep.
And what he did with this is incredible. Peter Coyote, our dear friend, narrates this one as he does the ones. But when you watch it, and then he ends the last episode with Charlottesville, and the relationship between everything that was going on then and now is very clear in this documentary. And I don't know, for me, when I think of these migrants that were flown to Martha's Vineyard and deceived, and with children, with infants with them, and being told they would have jobs or they would have education, and and to be dropped off on an island with no one there being notified so that could care for them. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, oh, there's all these businesses in this country that are complaining. I mean, even on this island, because they don't have enough workers and everything. I'm like, let some people in. And there's people that really want to work in this country and make this country what it is, and people getting away from terrible situations, whether it's Venezuela or Cuba or Nicaragua or wherever it is. Let some people in, and let's revitalize this country. And I so to me, when you see the people turned away from the shores of the United States in the Second World War and sent back to Germany to go to Auschwitz, it just so I don't know. I've been a combination of so sad but then so angry, and then of course you add Roe v. Wade. And I don't know. Say, Rachel, I know you're putting cool things up here. Would you put the link to Torres? My daughter wrote a song that hopefully Rachel will put this link up about Roe v. Wade.
Oh wow!
That we made a little video for.
It's so hard to stay positive through this, but I try. That's all I can try to do, is say that I still have faith in humanity. And when I saw Ken Burns on a talk show the other night saying, this is the main reason why I did this now, is because it needs to be, it's connected. It needs you need to see the connection.
Right.
So,
I'm really, really active in political expressions. And there's a group that I've been participating with. I'll actually put it in here. Hold on. This group is my favorite. walkusa.org. So this is a group of all volunteers, people that we partner with key groups in key states and districts, like districts and states that are pressure points for the upcoming elections. And but we partner with groups there that live in those places, that are headed by and run by people of color and working in their communities.
Fantastic.
And we partner with those groups and help fill funding gaps for them and volunteer in different ways with these groups. It's the most kind of intelligent, focused, effective group that I've ever been able to be part of. I love them, and all the funds that we raise and go directly to these particular groups that we're partnering with, all of whom are amazing.
Amazing.
And to me, it's like, before I did this, I always felt so ineffective just sending money to a candidate to be used on a TV ad or something like that. And it's not, it really isn't effective. And all the research, it's totally data driven. If you go to their website, you'll see the basis of the way the Walk the Walk operates. And it's walkthewalkusa.org is the group. And
Walk the Walk, I've heard of that. Yes.
Well, yeah, but there's other groups that sort of have some of that. So it's got to walkthewalkusa.org.
USA. Okay.
Yeah. And they're great. Here's my daughter's Tora Smart, A Girl Like Me. There's her video that is about Roe v. Wade. And so she wrote and produced that.
Awesome. It's crazy. I mean, the way that I just always go back to this country was formed on everybody came in, and it was here. We came here to be ourselves. And then all of a sudden there's this gigantic group that says, God damn it, no, you can't come in here and be yourself. And it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. like I say, something happened with compassion. Compassion has been lost by a bunch of people, and how we get that back, I don't know.
It's just so much fear, and
Fear.
how do we reach out to our brothers and our sisters, and I really feel that more people are like us.
Yeah.
More people
there
really
is.
do care,
Right.
but there's just been a, targeted takeover with some really horrible, I mean, the people that are trying to take over this country are not the majority. And
No.
they're also, they certainly aren't dedicated to democracy. And they certainly aren't dedicated to one person, one vote. And it's like everything that's constitutive of what this country is, they're just, but it's, what do they call them now? Illiberal democracies, So I'm furious. And
we have to be. I mean, as much as I want to be, as much as I want to stay, I mean, you can still be furious and be positive.
Yeah,
you can move forward in a furious, positive direction.
There are some things in the world that you need to be furious about.
And this is
Not
a good
okay.
reason. This is everything we're going through is a good reason to be furious.
So
just direct it the right way. That's all we have to do. Now back to music, sorta, kinda. Why? What's your belief that, like I say, I'm going to do a protest songs show on Friday. What's your belief? Why is it that protest songs don't seem to have the power that they had in the 60s?
It's a really interesting question. It's Buffy St. Maria is a good friend of mine, and she has been saying, who's writing the protest songs?
Where are those guys?
Right. But, I think part of it was, we're much more fragmented now. We used to, there was like one music scene, I mean, there was like, you could, there wasn't genres all over and different Spotify with different little silos of music. And I think
there was only one place to get music, or two places, AM radio and your friend's house. Those were the two places you could get music. Now there's 3 million places to get music. So maybe that is the problem. But why wouldn't like Spotify, which is a terrible company, but I mean, why wouldn't they just have a section on Spotify that's just fucking protest songs? This is all that we're gonna play here, or whatever.
Well, I think there are, it's just that everybody doesn't hear everybody else's. I mean, I have a friend with a family, the Goucher family, in LA, and one of the nephews in that family is D-Smoke, and he's a amazing spoken word rapper and musician, and he won the Netflix spoken word contest last year or the year before. He's amazing, D-Smoke.
Wow.
He is brilliant. He's UCLA graduate, Spanish, raps in Spanish. He's as well as he's raised in Compton, taught at Compton High School.
Wow.
He's like, just wonderful. So, and if you look at like Black Habits is one of his albums and videos, I mean, it's incredible, and he's strong. So I think there's my protest song sort of that's on Sing Your Dreams is Sister Ruth.
Yes. I love that song.
Was a like sort of a compassionate protest song.
Yeah.
But
like I say, you can protest with love.
Yeah.
And you really can. Come on, people now, let's get together. That was a protest song, but.
And I think, I think they are definitely, there are songs out there. We just don't hear them. If you're not, we're listening, as somebody wrote here, we're too fragmented, Yeah,
so true. So true. Well,
look at that. Orphan said, Dr. King said that nonviolence was an active confrontation with evil.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's go back again. Let's go back. We talked, I mentioned it earlier, that these two sessions that I found where The Ace of Cups back up on Michael Bloomfield's "It's Not Killing Me" album, Michael's Lament, and
Yeah.
then on Jefferson Airplane, Volunteers record, The Farm.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you
That
have do you have any stories about that?
yeah, I did. Worked out that those arrangements for that song, the backup vocal,
Wow.
which was very, very fun. And even he had a different name for the song. No, it wasn't The Farm. Excuse me. The one I'm thinking of is Turn My Life Down.
Oh, is that
Right.
on Volunteers too?
Yeah, it's on Volunteers. And Yorma had a different name for the song. I was like, no, it should be Turn My Life Down. And I came up with these background arrangements for it. It was really fun.
Oh. I know you knew Michael Bloomfield, and the guy is a legend. I mean, among rock guitarists, blues guitarists, he is considered one of the greatest ever. Eric Clapton idolized the dude, that type of thing.
I remember I went and saw the Bob Dylan big exhibit at the Skirball. No, it was actually a Bill Graham exhibit at the Skirball in LA. Big, amazing exhibit. But there was a quote by Dylan saying that Michael Bloomfield is the best guitarist in the world.
Yeah. He played with Dylan for a while too, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was amazing. I mean, we loved him. He lived. I mean, like as I said, they put the electric flag together at their house.
Yeah, they hung at your house.
He was such a soul. There's a documentary. I don't know if it's really out yet about him. It's been trying to raise funds to be finished.
To do it. Yeah. Man. Public
showings of it. I think Bob Sarles, who did Born in Chicago, he would know, but I've seen it in the theater, like when they were still like at the Mill Valley Film Festival.
Wow.
It's really amazing. And the thing about the film that's so cool is the basis for it, or the kind of the structure of it, is interviews that were done with Michael. And so, but they're only audio. So there's a big old reel-to-reel, like big thick tape machine. And every time Michael's talking, it goes back to that machine where the recordings that, of his narration of his life.
So he narrates the documentary. Oh my God. I hope this gets available soon. I have a good friend of mine that was related to him. And he always talked about him. Even before I knew really who he was, I remember my friend talking about, my uncle. And I was like, oh my God. And then after I found out who he was later on in the years, I was like, oh my God. And then what about Jefferson Airplane? You hung around with those guys a lot too. Anything?
We did. Well, we got to travel with them some, and the kind of all of those folks, the one that I was personally closest to was Yorma.
Oh, what a player he is too.
And he was just always so sweet. And in those days I was playing rhythm guitar, and then I was the only guitarist after Mary Ellen left the Ace of Cups. And Yorma would just go, you should play this guitar, and he would just give me a guitar for like a year, and like this beautiful Gibson like ES3 45 or something, and he said,
my God,
you can try this. And I still have some really cool little exercises, guitar exercises he showed me and stuff. And he's amazing. And I think what he and Jack, they both played quite a bit on our on our records, and Jack was just so generous. And they both were, but they're and the longevity of their friendship. They started playing together when they were like in junior high school.
Yeah.
And they still are. And of course, Fur Peace Ranch, Yorma's ranch that he and his wife Vanessa have. It's just, we were supposed to play there, and then COVID killed our show, and we were so disappointed, because we were really excited to go to Ohio and play at Fur Peace Ranch.
Yeah, wow.
But
what a great player he is. I did a show. A friend of mine made a documentary about this weird little place up in the Santa Cruz Mountains called Chateau Liberté that was up there a while ago. Did you ever play there as the Ace of Cups? Yeah, no. It was this little mountain, not even a resort. It was a mountain cabin, but some people owned it, and the Dead played there. Jefferson Airplane played there, but it was just really kind of hard to get to. So that was good because the police couldn't get to you.
Right.
But you had to kind of hike into it. And he just made a great documentary about that just in the
Uh,
last 2 years.
I love that area though.
Oh, Santa Cruz
I went to
Mountains.
I went to camp there for like 5 years in a row.
Really?
And lived outside in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It was like seminal experience for me living in those mountains. Loved it.
Yeah. I grew up in San Jose and was always driving over Highway 17 to get to Santa Cruz all the time. And then I was like, God, I have to live over here. And so just in the last 2 years, Denise, I found my forever home. I live right outside of Castroville, yeah, right on the coast, maybe 10 minutes from the beach. So I'm here for the rest of my life. I just love the California coast. It's just wonderful. I wanted to ask you about May 14th, 2011, Ace of Cups plays Wavy Gravy's 75th birthday party. Was that really the getting back together moment?
Sort of was. We got George from High Moon Records, which is our record label. We got invited to play that show, and George and everybody lived in different places. And George said, if you guys want to come together and do it, I'll rent you a house and cover a rehearsal studio for you so you can get ready to play that show. And
wow.
And we did.
Was that just fun? I mean, had you guys were obviously staying in touch, but had you physically got together before that? No. So what was it?
I mean, through the years, a few times we'd get together. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 3. You know.
Cool.
That was challenging. It wasn't exactly the smoothest time.
So and Wavy, I got to meet Wavy one night at the Freight and Salvage at a very special reunion of Country Joe and the Fish. Or it wasn't even a reunion. It was just within the last 5 years. But I remember seeing Wavy in the front row and going up and introducing myself to him, because I mean, what a personality that guy is.
It's amazing. You know, have you seen the documentary about Wavy?
No.
Oh, you have to see that.
Oh my God.
It's called the Wavy Gravy Movie. You should be able to get it on Amazon.
Oh, I gotta see that.
You might have to pay a couple of bucks to get it. No,
I'm a fanatic about documentaries.
You have to see that film.
I gotta
Wavy
see
Gravy Movie. And my friend Michelle Ezrick made that film. And you have no idea who he is until you get a sense of it when you see the film. It's amazing.
It's crazy, man.
Amazing.
I got to go to in about 1978. You know, I'm like I said, I'm 63, so I missed the real years that everything was happening. But I remember going to a tribal stomp at Berkeley Greek Theater late. This is like 78 or 79, and he hosted it, of course, you know, and it was like the Chambers Brothers and freaking It's a Beautiful Day, and oh my God, it was great. It was a fun show. I tell you, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for being here tonight. This has been I tell you, there's so much great stuff and so many great stories.
Yeah. It's been really sweet to hang out with everybody here. I really want to thank everybody for just bringing your smiling faces and energy, and just
this is why I do this. Yeah. Denise, this is all it's for, is just to be able to feel the energy that you bring, and that all my friends and all these people that come in, and new friends that come in, you know, that you've brought in tonight. It's fantastic.
And I want to say, Rachel Ann, thank you so much for, you know, putting all the links up here. And
how is Rachel connected with you?
Rachel has been, I call her our unmanager because we're unmanageable.
Well, these people are my irregular regulars, a lot of these people. So I can really relate to the unmanager.
But she also, she does social media and digital work for our record label, High Moon Records.
Fantastic.
And for a lot of other people too, that, you know, but she really stayed on here and just, you know, kept bringing up all kinds of things and giving us links. And that was really great.
Well, I'm glad we connected. That's another thing about this, is I just love making connections like this with people that are like-minded and that are into the same stuff that I am. And like
Is
I say,
Bobo, who's on here, is that one of your friends, or is it Bobo from Hawaii? You know?
Bobo, no, Bobo. Well, I think Bobo is one of the regulars here, but he
Got it.
hasn't come out tonight. He's being very shy, it seems like.
Got it.
Bobo's being
That's what.
shy.
Okay.
But I mean, it could be a different Bobo for all I know. I mean, there's more than one Bobos in the world.
There are. There's a few Bobos.
Denise, these are just great songs. They deserve to be heard by the world.
It's so fun to hear them with you guys, because I haven't been listening to them.
Man, that's so cool.
Like,
I'm glad you're enjoying it as much as we are, because it's fantastic.
yeah, thank you.
I wanted to ask you about, because I know you were very close with Quicksilver Messenger Service 2, David Freeberg, and Nicky Hopkins and John Tripolina. Any stories about these guys? I mean,
Well, we were really close with those guys because Ron Pulte managed
same manager.
A lot of shows with them, and we saw that when I first heard Quicksilver, Jimmy Murray was still in the band, and then he left, so it was 5 of them, and then it was just David Freiberg and Greg Elmore on drums and Gary Duncan and John Cipollina.
Yeah.
So it was 4 of them. And then later they brought Dino Valenti in,
Yeah.
who I also knew separately before too. So it was kind of interesting, their whole evolution.
Didn't Dino write Get Together, right?
Yep.
That's his big monster claim to fame there, man. Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember I saw, like I say, I'm late to the game a lot of the time. I saw John Cipollina in a weird, like this guy, Rocky Sullivan from New York City, and he was doing this kind of New York rock opera thing, and John was playing guitar for him in the late 70s, and I remember seeing it and just became a fan of him instantly, because the guy was such a unique guitar sound, and the way he played was even unique, the way he held the guitar.
I've heard people that I respect say that if you had to find one sound that would be the epitome of San Francisco in the 60s, it would be John Cipollina's guitar playing. And I think,
I mean, it's just, you hear that guitar, on like Fresh Air or whatever, it's just like, you go, oh my God, it just jumps out at you, man. Oh, that was a hell of a band. I mean, I can't imagine getting to see Quicksilver Messenger Service in those days.
His mother was a classical pianist, and so and a teacher. So their house had these 2 giant grand pianos. And Mary Gannon took lessons from Mrs. Cipollina for a while. And they lived up the hills in Mill Valley. And our producer, Dan Shea, who is probably your age, right?
Yeah.
But he studied with Mrs. Cipollina.
Wow.
He's based, his background is a keyboard player. And so he even heard us play when he was a little kid. She brought him to some show that Quicksilver was playing that we were playing. So it was kind of a grand circle to be working with Dan Shea because of our Cipollina connection. And
I did a show, I guess about a month ago, something like that. I did a whole Nicky Hopkins night. I did 4 hours of songs with Nicky Hopkins on piano. What kind of guy was he?
Right. He was lovely, and just a sweetheart.
Really?
And just always just wanted to play. So he played with so many people. When he got to the Bay Area, it wasn't like, well, I'm only going to play. He was just like, sure, I'll play. And he played.
Well, what I had heard was Quicksilver was the first band that gave him writing credits on songs. Like everybody else he played with as a session just kind of said, you're a session guy. But Quicksilver, man, did it for him as far as that goes.
Great. Yeah, I didn't know that, but that makes sense. Because, he came from, I think he came to LA after England and then came up north. And He was great. You know, they recorded my song Flute Song.
Yeah, I love that song.
You know, and Nikki just took this wild solo in it. It was really fun. I mean, it was a song that I wrote with like guitar and a flute. And then it was like, they played, it was like, you know, it was very different versions. So it was really fun to hear what Nikki did.
Let's hear that song, man. I love that. That's a great cut, man. Here is Flute Song. Diane wrote this song, or Denise wrote this song, and the interpretation, how they took it, right? What could you say, you know?
Thank you, is what you can say.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable what they did with it. Here is Denise's song, Flute Song, KMiC Radio. That is an amazing piece, man.
Thank you.
God.
I wrote a very simple guitar version, you know. I mean,
you wrote it on a guitar and they took it somewhere else. And do you remember when you first heard what they did with it?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, and I have to tell you, it was quite a gift at the time, because it was released when I was pregnant with my daughter.
And that album sold really good.
And that album sold well. And I got like the first big check from it right after giving birth.
Wow.
And it was like, it just made me be like safe to stay home and
comfortable, not have to worry.
Really amazing, you know.
Those moments, you know, I have those moments too. I was telling you, I've worked in comic books for 30 years, and royalties can be nothing. But then there's those moments. I've had those moments just like that, where all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? Well, I'm in a little need and then provided.
Yeah, it was, I mean, that's the only time anything like that's ever happened for me.
That's crazy.
And, you know, it was right at that time in her, you know, first period of time when I was like, I got to stay home. And, you know, my husband was a jazz player, you know.
Yeah.
So like he was out there raking in, you know, a lot, and we had rent and everything like that. And, you know, we were always counting on sort of two incomes, and then okay for that period of time. And it was really, really a gift.
Pretty outrageous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what were you doing when you heard about Woodstock? Woodstock was going to happen. All the people around you were going to Woodstock.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I had a baby.
That's when you had your baby.
Was that like, what was the date? Let me think. It was
August 18th, 1969.
Yeah. So I didn't have her yet, but I was just getting pregnant, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't.
Did you ever see that? You can watch it on YouTube, but there's that Dick Cavett where they all show up the week after.
No.
You got to watch it. Joni Mitchell wasn't able to be there.
Right. She wasn't at Woodstock.
Right. She wasn't there, but David Crosby, Stephen Stills, Grace, I think Yorma's there too. They all show up on the Dick Cavett show, and they sit in a circle. You got to watch this. Go find it. So it's the week after Woodstock, and it's so fun because they're all just sitting there. And then Joni shows up and she goes, "I would have been there, but I couldn't do it because of this or whatever." And then she sits down and plays a few songs on the piano. I don't know. It's a very cool episode of Dick Cavett. Oh man, I tell you, this has been one heck of a night. It's been, I love it when people hang the whole night with us. You are the best.
I love to hang.
This is so cool, man.
And just hearing all this music, it's just great, you know.
And we have 15 minutes left here, and we got to play more Ace of Cups to go out, of course.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yes, I want you to.
Well, first of all, when you do your protest music show,
yep,
will you play our song, Sister Ruth?
I already pulled it in there. It's in
The
there
other
right
one,
now.
also go on Buffy, look up Buffy St. Marie
Yes.
and check out her song, The War Racket. It's really good.
I was gonna play some of her, but I'm gonna look up the war.
For your protest,
Yeah,
show.
racket. Cool. Because she is important to that scene. She's how's she doing? Do you stay in touch with her?
Oh, I know. She's my really good friend. She just got a giant tribute show. She's getting huge accolades in Canada right now. She got like this big tribute show with like this building or the theater. They had this like, one of those 4-story marquee, not marquee, but the photo, like a, whatever you call it when it's, like a Times Square or something.
Giant like a billboard with her on it.
Just, and they did a documentary that premiered on her. And
oh, really?
And this tribute concert with all these amazing young Canadian artists doing her songs. And she's just, finally getting a bit of what her due is because she's amazing.
Yeah, she should be getting, she should have been getting it a long time ago, but I mean, wow.
But she would never, they wanted her when she was like on those shows, like, I don't know, Dick Cavett, but all of those shows that when she was, when her albums were selling in those early days, they told her they wanted her on all those variety shows, but she couldn't say anything about being Native, being indigenous, being Indian. And she said, then I won't go. So she, and then there was a whole nother thing where like the FBI was blocking her. She didn't find that out till really recently.
Unbelievable.
J. Edgar Hoover, she was on a blacklist.
Wow, I gotta see that documentary too. That sounds really
good. That's just come out right now.
Wow.
And then the other thing about Buffy, I mean, she was the first indigenous person to win an Oscar for the song that she wrote, "Up Where We Belong" with Jack Nietzsche. She wrote that song with Jack.
Really? Wow, I didn't know she wrote that.
And she wrote, and then she was the first person to ever, in America, to ever nurse a child on television on Sesame Street. She nursed her.
Oh my God, that is just cool. On Sesame Street.
Yeah, she was invited to be on there. She originally did various episodes, and then they just invited her to be part of the show. And then when she had her son Cody, she did this episode where Big Bird's going, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm feeding the baby."
Amazing, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sesame Street. Yeah, they were open-minded. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
Cool. Were you going to request some songs? Did you
want me to? I was going to say maybe we should play Buffy's song on our first record, "Pepper in the Pot." I mean, I wrote Buffy and I wrote that song, and then Buffy came in to record to sing lead on it, and she we rewrote the bridge together in the studio, which was really fun.
Yeah. This has been fantastic, Denise.
It's been so much fun, Mick.
I've been wanting to meet you for quite a long time now, and it's just a treat. You are a fantastic lady. Like I say, I get so much. I'm just charged by your energy. I wish I could take yoga classes with you.
I wish you could too.
I've studied yoga when I was in San Jose. I studied with direct disciples of Yogananda. Roy Eugene Davis, and my guru, her name was Ellen Grace O'Brien. She's still around. Roy just passed on maybe in the last 4 years. But the Center for Spiritual Enlightenment in San Jose, fantastic organization, and centered me in yoga practice and gave me so much.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place to be. I gotta practice my yoga more. I don't do it enough. I should just get up every morning and do my yoga, but I don't. I'm a lazy bastard is what I am. But I know what it makes me feel like when I do it.
Well, one of the things I have a whole website and a song about this. I live on the floor, as you might be able to see.
Yes,
I really avoid chairs as much as possible.
Good thing.
And I have a whole website about squatting and a song called the Squat Songs. But part of my practice now is just staying mobile.
Yeah.
And it's like living on the earth. The more you can, even at, just every time you get up and you get down from the floor, every time you sit on the floor, you're moving your core joints in ways that keep you mobile.
And connection to the earth,
Right.
sitting on the earth, sitting
Right.
on the ground, you're getting something out of that. You're getting energy from that. Wow. Unbelievable. I think we should go out with this great cover of a Bill Withers song, Grandma's Hands. Anything you want to say about that?
Oh, well, we love that song. We love Bill Withers.
Yeah. Do you know the
Diane singing, our drummer?
Yeah.
And she's the only one of the Ace of Cups, of the original ones, who's not a grandma. But but we all felt like that, particularly that song was a really fun song to have on our first album.
Have you heard the Gil Scott-Heron version of that?
Yeah.
He does
my
great.
My grandson plays that. I mean, that's the kind of Bill Withers is in our family. Is
really
we love Bill Withers. So
it is a fantastic.
We had a version of my grandson posted of wasn't Lovely Day. Was it Lovely Day? The one.
Oh, that's a good one.
No, it was I'm wrong. Was it? We did post that one, but the other one was the one that went viral. It was it was a different song. Yeah. Can't stay away. Can't stay away from you. But
he was a great songwriter, man. Great songwriter.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, with Pepper in the Pot, it was like that. I was in a coffee house in San Jose. In Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
I heard a Bill Withers song came on, and I just pulled up my phone and I brought that groove back to Dan Shea, our producer. Said, "This is what we need to have for Pepper in the Pot," and that was what.
Oh man,
great! Yeah,
that's a great connect there. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. It's been a fabulous night. Anytime you want to come back to the show, Denise, you are welcome. I've just enjoyed this like crazy tonight, and I know everybody did.
Great. It was really fun hanging out with everybody, and just the idea of listening to music with like kindred souls. It was really great. So
that's what this is about. That's what this is all about, and turning people on to stuff. We've all been turned on to stuff tonight. That we might not have heard elsewhere. So that's what
I wouldn't have heard that Country Joe thing if you hadn't played it. And and I haven't heard some of the Jefferson Airplane stuff in a long time. So it was great.
Coming back to me. It wasn't that great to hear tonight. Oh my God, that was fantastic.
That was Marty, right?
Oh yeah, that was Marty singing.
I'd become friends with his wife, long distance on her name is Susan. She lives in Florida. So they're dealing with the hurricane right now.
Yeah, it's ugly down there.
Woman that he married a little later in life, and she's incredible. She had an art gallery, and he was doing painting at the time.
Wow,
she's just this beautiful, beautiful person, and they were the love of each other's lives, and so because I've become friends with her in these last years, hearing him sing that song just really, yeah.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you for being here. And thank you all, my irregular regulars and new people that have showed up tonight. It's been a great night. Let's go out with Grandma's Hands from Ace of